All right. Quads look pretty well lined up, and they're off. The finals of the girls' freshman quad. And all the crews off cleanly. Pushing hard. Finding those high strokes now.
Seattle Prep slicing through those geese.
And looks
and
like
we got to get a course correction from Conestoga there.
Pretty big course correction. That's going to...
They need to get back in the lane, not interfere with Seattle Prep.
I know, they're going to have to really start
make an
moving.
adjustment now.
Uh-oh. This is not looking good for Conestoga, the favorite to win this race, and they are having some steering issues, course issues, which we knew would be challenging. There we go. Now they're getting back in the lane.
Watch out, Montclair also having steering issues there. There's got to be some really big gusts up there challenging these quads who have no coxswain to steer.
Well, just as I said, the steering stuff in these freshman quads is going to be an issue, and we see that already in the beginning of this race as the crews now start to settle into their pace, their rhythm, as they approach the 500-meter mark. And Montclair, unfortunately, their course corrections are definitely costing them some seats there. It's always tough to see that.
Germantown Friends.
Conestoga is really finding their rhythm here, and now they're really pushing away and right into the center of the race.
Germantown Friends has a really good rhythm there out in lane 1. They have been able to keep a nice straight line, and I think that's helping them.
And here we go with Conestoga. Can Conestoga find a rhythm that pulls away? Can these other crews like Germantown Friends and Seattle Prep press into them? And what about Niskayuna
found it there, yeah.
over in lane 5? Right now, Niskayuna, Seattle Prep, and Germantown Friends pretty much equal. And Montclair not that far behind as they've overcome some early steering issues to see if they can find their rhythm. And Conestoga building a lead here through the 500-meter mark, making a good push, really asserting their control over this race.
But it's bow ball, bow ball, bow ball across lane 1, Germantown Friends, Seattle Prep, and Niskayuna.
Yeah, and how can Niskayuna move here? Are they moving? It's a little hard to see, but certainly an incredible battle for second. And Conestoga not pulling away necessarily, maintaining maybe a little sliver of open on the field. There they go. Conestoga really finding the rhythm now.
I think Niskayuna is making a move here, trying to break free from Seattle Prep and Germantown Friends. But there's still quite a bit of contact as we come into the middle of the course here.
And looks like Germantown Friends maybe moving slightly on Seattle Prep to the center of this course. And Niskayuna moving a little bit there too. I would say it's Conestoga, Niskayuna, Germantown Friends, and Seattle Prep in that order would be my guess at this point, but it's hard to tell. And that wind is really whipping. You can just see the waves on that course. That can't... that is going to affect all of these crews.
Yeah, Conestoga, get back in the lane there. We don't want to get caught up in those buoys there. Last thing you want is the blade to get caught on one of those buoy lines.
I know, this is where you worry with this kind of wind and these kind of waves is where you worry about potentially catching a crab, and that could transform this race pretty quickly for any of the crews.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
And
moving over to starboard now.
I know Conestoga continue to have issues with the steering. Other crews too. The wind pushing them, all the crews to the port side. Really a challenge, especially for these freshman girls, to deal with those wind conditions in a quad.
500 meters to go here.
All right.
Second place right now is Germantown Friends, Seattle Prep, and Niskayuna. Very close though.
This is where all these crews are just battling it out. You know, these conditions make clean rowing very hard, and you just got to dig in and try and get as good a stroke on each stroke as you can, especially in these last 500 meters. You're tired. I bet your arms are really sore because you're gripping with the conditions are making those shoulders really tight as you're trying to control your blades. Again, this is when you might see some sort of a crab come from one of these crews. Hopefully not.
Got about 400 meters to go on this race course here. You could see the winds picking up. Water's getting choppier. It's going to favor the crews with the good blade work. They just have to execute cleanly here. Square it in place.
Yeah, and just also know that it's not going to be that clean, so just get as much press as you can while the blade's in the water. And Conestoga continues to push out. They had a great move there through the 500-meter mark, really handling the conditions slightly better than the others.
Seattle Prep has made a move here. I believe they have eclipsed the lead that Germantown Friends had. Look at Niskayuna, though, also pushing.
See if we can tell as they come closer to us here in the tent. We got Conestoga clearly out front, but Niskayuna and Seattle Prep battling for that second place finish and third place finish. And Germantown Friends trying to see if they can pull something off, but these conditions are making any kind of sprint very challenging.
Seattle Prep has lifted their rate, have now come out to about 3/4 of a boat length lead over Germantown Friends. Are they going to be able to push through Niskayuna?
Look at that wind just whip around all of these blades as all of these crews just do their best to get as much speed as they can. I know Seattle Prep's really struggling trying to get their blades in the water there. Looks like Niskayuna's got a little bit of a lead on there. Niskayuna rowing just a little bit more cleanly. Who's got it at the line? Looks like Niskayuna's got a little lead, but Seattle Prep is pushing hard these last few strokes, but it's going to be Niskayuna
not quite enough,
followed by Seattle Prep.
Strong push from Germantown Friends there, but
well rowed.
Just shy.
I think the tough thing, though, with these conditions, I mean, you can just see how much rougher it is here. I mean, just look at the water here at the finish line. And the tough thing about that, I think, for those of us who are spectators, is it just makes those sprints that much more difficult. I mean, it's just very hard to put together a big press when you've got conditions this rough and a tailwind this strong. So it really is an advantage to that crew that can take a lead into the final 500.